If your washing machine is making noise like mine was, then you are in luck. My name is Jared. I'm with Yellow Van Handyman, and a couple of years ago I started teaching people how to repair their washing machines when they're having bearing and seal failure problems. Let's jump into it. Let me show you how to make this repair, and then we'll come back and wrap it up. Thanks. Okay, we're back in the shop, and if you have a machine that looks something like this or exactly like this is what we're working on today. This is a Kenmore H3, similar to or the same as a Whirlpool Duet. So let's get with it. Okay, to start with, we are going to remove the top of the washing machine. And to do that, we have to take out a few screws out of the back. What I like to do is use a little socket tip adapter in my cordless here. This little adapter allows me to punch on any type of socket that I want. This particular one is a 7mm. You can also use Torx tips for these, but I prefer using a socket. So you just need to take these sockets or these screws out of the back to get the cover off. So then all you do once you have the screws out is simply lift the back of the cover and slide it back a little bit, and it comes right off. Next thing we're going to do is remove the front door, and there's just a couple of screws that hold that in place at the hinge. So you have to pull the front boot off, and there's a little tensioner spring, and if you look towards the bottom, it's actually got a little spring on it down here, and I've got it pulled off a little bit here, but you can stick a screwdriver or an awl in that and just kind of pry it up around there, and then just pull that off around the boot, which essentially removes that front boot, makes it pretty easy to pop off. Okay, we're going to pull the back panel off just to get that out of our way. And again, we've got a bunch of these very small 7mm screws that we must remove. So it's got some funny little plastic retainers on the back here. What you can do is pull up on the side that's rounded and then push in on this thumb tab and then just slide it to one side and it'll come off. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pull these main frame pieces off of the back here, because these are going to be in our way. Pull this hose off of the rear assembly. That slides right off. Big thanks to my son, Gabe, who is shooting this video and who has shot the other washer repair videos. Thanks, buddy.
Welcome.
Gabe is a whopping 9 years old, but he's going to be 10 this month. He's doing a good job shooting the video, isn't he? Okay, these come right up. I'm just going to flip this over to get it up here out of the way. Okay, we're going to remove this little front cover here. I have it tipped up merely for your benefit. It isn't really necessary because you can get to these screws with it laying on the ground, but I thought it would be easier for you to see where the screws are at. Basically what these do is they twist like this and then you pull them out. So to put them back in, you just do the opposite and then they snap into place. So twist and pull it out, and then same thing but the opposite direction on the top. The lower main drain hose off the bottom of the tank, and we're probably going to get some water out of it. And I do, just a little bit. Get that out of the way. And I prefer to pull the motors off of these before I take them out, if for no other reason, just to make sure I don't damage it. And you can see it's a little trick to get the belt off. I'm going to force the belt to kind of come backwards, and I'm going to turn it while I'm doing it, and that is essentially driving the belt off of there. So it's a quick, easy way to pop the belt off. Let's set that right over there. Okay, just to protect the pump, which is super simple to take off, we're going to take it off and get it out of the way. Just pull this one screw out the front and then slide it towards the front and pull it up. And I've already got the hoses disconnected, so it literally just can slide right out and you can get it out of the way. Okay, we got to get this back pulley off. And so what I recommend using is a stout crescent wrench or some kind of a strong stop to run through the housing here. And you want to do it in a spot that's got the greatest leverage, because it is a big nut, but as you can see, it loosens up fairly easily. I'm using a 15/16 socket to get this off. If you're using metric stuff, that would be, I believe, a 21 millimeter. Pop the pulley off, which should slide off fairly easily. You don't want to force it, but just kind of wiggle it back and forth and it'll come off of there. The main reason why we were doing that is because we have some wire management and stuff we have to work on right now. There's a ground wire in here that that grounds the assembly here. And we do have to go ahead and pull these wires all the way out, make it easier. And then I'm going to show you a little wire management trick, because there's some retainers for these wires on the side of the tub that are kind of a pain to get off. But I'll show you how to make them super easy. Okay, this is the wire assembly that we just pulled out. And if you look, it's got these little retainers on here that snap into the bottom of the tub. And they're in a really challenging spot to get to, because essentially what you have to do is you have to pinch this in order to get them to pop off. So what I recommend doing is taking a 6 millimeter socket on the back side of these, and if you push it on here, it closes those up and it literally pops these right off. Okay, we're at the point now where the tank assembly is ready to come out. Now, some people would tell you to take apart a lot more of the assembly in terms of the front. Some people choose to take the counterweights off. If you want to do that, you can. It makes the tank assembly a lot lighter, obviously, but it isn't necessary. A little trick that I just use a little go-kart wheel to stick underneath the bottom of this as I'm unhooking the top springs. Right now, it's just basically swinging on these two top springs. Got it set on the bottom there, one side disconnected, and now we're going to disconnect this side. Okay, with the springs disconnected, we are going to pull it out the back. Just be careful. Okay, interestingly enough, this assembly is held together with a series of clamps. And the best way to pop those off is simply by sticking a screwdriver underneath them and prying them off. Okay, got all the clips off. That is the only thing that holds this together. This one comes right off. You want to be gentle with this to make sure you don't damage it. Okay, when you're going to pop the seal out, you can use a screwdriver, a pry bar. If you have something like this, it works really well. You essentially just get it up underneath the seal and pop it in a couple of spots, and the seal will literally just pop right out. Okay, I've turned the tank over, and the outer bearing on this particular model has what's called a snap ring, and so you need to have some snap ring pliers, which are super cheap. Okay, I've got the tub flipped over now and sitting on top of an open crate to give me a little bit of elevation and also give space for that outer bearing to drop into. And what I am going to do here is I'm going to go through the inner bearing with the same pipe that we used earlier for leverage and a good size hammer, and I'm going to work around this outer bearing until it pops out. And you heard it just drop out. So it's super simple to pop that out. Okay, I have the housing flipped over, and I went ahead and spaced it up with some blocks of wood because there's some tabs on the seal side of the housing that you don't want to break off while we're pounding on this. And essentially we're going to use the same method here. There's a number of different ways you can do this to get these out, but you don't really care about damaging the old bearings, so you just want to beat on them and kind of beat on them around in a circle so that they don't get cocked when they're coming out. And usually they pop right out just like that. Okay, we are going to install the new bearings into this housing assembly and get this thing back on the road to washing clothes. This one looks really good and clean. I'm just going to put a little bit of lubricant on that. This is not a functional lubricant. It is merely to help with the assembly and allowing the bearing to slide into place where it is supposed to be. So we're going to set this in, and this is an extremely tight fit, and there's a bunch of different things you can do to help this, but essentially what you want to make sure is that this bearing goes in squarely. Okay, one cheat is if you have a big socket, this is an 1.5 inch size socket, you can take this and you can pound the whole thing in all at once and it goes in really easy. Okay, I'm just going to wipe this down a little bit in here. This one's in pretty good shape, so not too concerned about sanding it or anything like that. Okay, for this bearing, I just cut a little piece of wood here that kind of fits in here just to make this easy, and also so that you can kind of see what's going on while I'm doing this. So I'm just going to tap on this. I'm going to rotate the wood to make sure I'm keeping that bearing square. And that bearing is set. Okay, we've got the seal here, got the seal area cleaned up and ready to go. Again, we're just going to do a little bit of a assembly lube just to help everything go together. You're going to set the new seal in place, get that thing squared in there, and literally just pound it in place and make sure that it sets in firmly. Kind of has that dead sound when you tap on it, and you know it's set in all the way around. Okay, we are setting the tub back on to the assembly, and we're going to line it up. Now with this in place, you are going to sort of look for where these clips were previous, and you just set these on here and beat them in place. And we're going to work our way all the way around this machine. Doesn't really matter what order you go in, putting these back on. Okay, I've got all the clips on, and this whole assembly is essentially back together. We've got new bearings in place, we have the new seal in place, and we are ready to set this back into the housing. Okay, that was awesome. Wasn't that easy? Now, here's one of the really exciting things about this is I get emails, and we have this chat group that's tied to this this repair forum here for you to be able to get help. Now, additionally, I've done some other videos to show in more detail how to make this repair and how to do some other similar repairs like this. So I think it's really important for us to be able to do things with our hands instead of just having other people do it for us. And so it's cool that you're able to do this. Go for it. Do it. I know you can.